Oh my goodness. Shed your own coat instead of a person having to shear it, right? Just like goats and dogs and, you know, deer and everyone else in nature, is that they shed their own coat in the summer or in the spring. But we have, again, genetically altered them to do what we want them to do. Is we want to use them for wool. We want them to not lose their coat all over the pasture, you know, rubbing up on fences and stuff. And so Moon will lose her coat later on, and we'll have to have a shearer come out and shear Sunny in the springtime or early summer, because otherwise she'll, you know, keep growing her coat and keep growing a coat, and then it can cause infections, tears, you know, all kinds of problems.
Hi.
So the way that we started with our sheep herd of 2 is that Moon came to us first. Moon came from a slaughterhouse.
Hi.
And Moon was extremely scared. She was a young lamb, and she was so scared of humans is that she would hurt herself to try to get away from us. The fencing back here, the dog run, is where we quarantined her for a short time, which we do with all animals when they come here. We have to make sure that they are free of diseases before introducing them to other animals. And she would actually, you can see that there are dents in the fencing over there, because she would actually throw herself at the fence trying to get away from us, even if we were just trying to, like, you know, take her inside to sleep inside. Now that did subside after, hi, are you playing with me? It did subside after a short while, but our vet was like, so do you have other sheep that, you know, she's gonna get to live with when she's done with quarantine? Because sheep like to live in herds. They're a herd animal. Hi. And so we were like, well, we'll work on it, you know, and then actually we got really lucky, because a short while later, another sanctuary contacted us. They were looking for a home for Sunny. Sunny was raised as a show sheep. So she was bottle fed and hand reared, and she grew up with kids and dogs, and so she's extremely, you know, used to humans. She likes attention. She's not scared of humans. She likes all the pets. Huh? You like all the pets and all the snacks. And so she's a great addition to the family, because she has shown Moon, you know, that you don't have to be scared of people. And so Moon, and because of that, partially because of that, and also because of snacks, has learned to trust us a little more. Now, Moon will never come up to us for pets like Sunny will. She's much more reserved. She'll stay back. She's always near Sunny. If they get separated, you'll hear them from one side of their enclosure over there to the other side. Bang! You know, someone's lost. It's usually Moon. Sunny never really cares. She's like, I'm fine, but they do love each other, and Moon absolutely depends on her for her comfort. Uncle Bippy? Uncle Bippy? Yeah, so just throw them out there and spread them out, because Ethel's coming and she's mean.
Uh-oh.
Which one's Ethel?
Ethel's this girl.
So big.
Yeah. And careful, pigs have really sharp teeth. They don't have very good eyesight, so I don't want them to bite your hand. You have to be really careful. Okay, snack time. Is our big girl. She's the top queen in here. Whatever she says goes. Her sister there is Lucy. Ethel and Lucy are farm pigs. These are the pigs that are typically raised for meat. Now, these girls did not come from industrial farming. They didn't come from a factory. Look at their tails. They have tails. In industrial farming, these large pigs, they cut the tails off, you know, when dock the tails is what they call them, when they're a couple days old, because pigs, like chickens, will be kept in very small, confined spaces where the stress that they endure will cause them to cause damage to other pigs. They'll eat their tail, they'll chop on their ears. So these girls, their backstory is that they were actually abandoned on a property. There was a meth raid and a murder on the property. And then what we think happened is that, the house, we think, went on short sale because whoever moved into the house got a surprise, two 500-pound surprises living in their backyard. They were kept on this small lot with, they didn't have fresh bedding or straw or anything like that, and the whole pen that they were in was just about the size of this feeding corral. So they didn't have access to, like all this like lush greenery and grazing and stuff. So they really lucked out when coming here. Lucy, when she came here, was missing the large majority of her fur on her back. She was also severely underweight. You could see her spine, you could see the bones. And in pigs, unlike in other mammals where showing a little bone isn't a big deal, it's actually a sign of health. In pigs, if you're able to see bones on them, that means that they're severely underweight. So Lucy was underweight. She was missing a lot of fur, and that was all due to malnourishment. She wasn't getting enough food. Ethel's always been a bossy one, so Ethel always gets to eat first and as much as she wants, and Lucy had to kind of eat the scraps and leftovers. Well, since then, we've been giving her extra snacks. She gets extra mangoes and avocados and whatever she wants to make her gain weight, and at this point she's at a healthy weight. You can see that her fur's all grown back. So that's where Lucy and Ethel came from. They've been here since April 9th of this year. The other pigs, now our first pigs here are Wanda, the pink pig, and her two brothers, Koopa and Yoshi. You can tell Yoshi and Koopa apart because Koopa has a white foot, and that's about the only way that you can tell them apart. Yoshi and Koopa came from a situation where someone was breeding pigs to make money from them. And they weren't able to sell the litters. Now, just to give you reference, pigs grow until they're about 5 years old. Oh, wow. So if they're sexually mature at like 2 months and 4 months, they're babies. Yeah. And so the danger in, breeding pigs to where you're, not that I'm promoting breeding again, but when you get these babies and they start growing up and you're not selling them and you're keeping them together, all of a sudden at 8 weeks old, the boys can impregnate their mom. And then 2 months later, at 4 months old, they can impregnate their sisters. So, one pig could turn into 14 pigs, can turn into 100 pigs, to like, you can go from 1 to 100 pigs, in about a year. Wow. Real fast.
Wow. And when they say the mom only weighs this much, 20 pounds, and the mom's only 4 months old.
Yeah, and that's what they do with micro pigs or teacup pigs or mini pigs, is that they'll take a young female, 4 months old, 6 months old, breed her, introduce her as like, oh, here are the parents, the father's a couple months old, the mother's a couple months old, and your pig will grow up to be this big and they're babies. Right. And they still have 5 years of growing to do. Wow. With these guys, Wanda's about a year old right now. She's still going to double in size to be an adult. With her brothers, Yoshi and Koopa, they're about a year and a half old. They're still going to double in size. Wow. With the other two pigs, well, it looks like Hammy's not here, but Tyson's here. Tyson's also a year and a half old. He's still going to double in size. And then his friend Hammy, who's nowhere to be seen, he's also a year and a half old and will still double in size. 90% of pet pigs are rehomed before they're a year old because people don't know what they're getting into, and that, that the breeders will sell them on like, oh, your pig will grow up to be 25 pounds. You just have to follow this diet where you give them 1 leaf of lettuce a day, or like a quarter cup of food a day. So that's how people keep, or breeders try to keep pigs small, is by starving them. So whenever you see a pig and their fur doesn't look good, some of their bones are sticking out, they're loose, their skin is kind of, loose and doesn't look good, is that they're underweight and being starved. So they're being malnourished to stay small. So yeah, that's really dangerous, and that's why pigs are the second most kind of abused animal after roosters and rehomed animal, because people don't know what they're getting into with pigs. And so the majority of the people who contact us to take animals is usually roosters and pigs. Emailed like all the local sanctuaries and everyone that we knew to email, and we had a girlfriend for him in less than 24 hours. And they met, and it was like 2 peas in a pod right away. We were working on another rescue of 4 rams. And the same farmer who had the 4 rams that we were trying to find homes for also had these guys. And Logan, you can see that he wears a prosthetic, even though he's not quite using it yet. We were like, oh my gosh, he's missing a foot, and you can see the tips of his ears are also missing from frostbite. They didn't have shelter for them, and goats and sheep tend to birth in the winter months, and they need a warm place to be when they're young babes. And so he lost his foot to frostbite and parts of his ears and his tail tip. And so we're like, oh, we'll take him right away because he needs to see a vet, make sure everything's okay. So we went with the intention of bringing home, or Hope went with the intention of bringing home 1 goat. Of course, she couldn't leave behind his 2 sisters. She said that she's not going to take him unless they surrender his 2 sisters, and they agreed. And so she came home with 3 goats. Their mother had already, by that point, been slaughtered for meat, so we weren't able to get her. But it's just good to keep them together. The geese are...
What?